Hello everyone. In this video we are going to be removing the bearings and the dust shield from a GSX-R 600 rear wheel. To do this we're going to need a hammer, a dust shield puller, and a punch with a flattened end. First step, this is going to be basically the same for front and rear, with the exception the rear is going to have one dust shield on this side. And you just need to remove it with a puller. Then the next step is you need to take the spacer that's in the inside and move it over to one side. Then you take the flattened end and you do your best to catch the edge. And then you just move it to the other side. Now you want to work this bearing out evenly. So go from side to side. And sometimes once you get down far enough, you have to take this. And I like to use just a spare tire here to get it out the rest of the way. And when you do that, the bearing's going to drop out and the spacer as well. Once again, I like to start with a block of wood. And this one should be easier to catch onto. Actually, it one hit and it fell right out. So that is how you remove the bearings from the inside of a rim. This should work on just your front and rear rims. And now I will show you how to install them. I'm going to install these back in just because it's junk and I'm just doing this for demonstrations. For this part, you want to put your piece of wood back down. And we're going to start on the right hand side of the rim. The first step is you want to grease the, you want to make sure the inside of the rim is clean, the inner race part right here where the race is going to sit. And then take a dab of grease, go along the inside here. Now you should never reuse a bearing once you've taken it out. And this is how you're going to pack a bearing. Just put some on your hand, and you're going to go around with the bearing and just keep working it in. In my opinion, the bearings don't come with enough grease in them, so you should probably grease them up once you get them. Take the little excess, put it around the outside, and wipe off some of the excess on the bearing itself. Now what you want to do is you want to set that bearing in. Now the open part of the bearing needs to face in. And you're going to need, I like to use a washer that I've ground the outside down so that it fits down into the hole here, and so that it can catch the outside of the race on this. And the first step, I take one hammer right here, and you just start the race going into the hole. And what I like to do is take a socket, stick it on that, grab a bigger hammer, now on the right hand side you need to drive that bearing all the way down until it seats. evenly on the inner part of the frame of the wheel. Now the next thing we want to do is on this side we can install the dust shield. Actually, we'll install that later. So on this side we flip it back over, we install the spacer, and when we go install this bearing, this we're going to sit down flat, but when this goes and touches, it needs to just barely kiss, and this thing still needs to be able to slide back and forth. Just judge how the feel is when you go to take it out, and that's about what you should have. You set the bearing down in. Well, that one's going down in pretty easy. And the same thing, I like to use a smaller hammer on this side so you have a little more control. And just keep tapping it down until you hit that spacer. That should be good. And you just need to have a little bit of free movement on that spacer on the inside. You flip it over, and on the front wheel you're going to have 2 dust shields, and on the rear you're going to also have 2 dust shields, but the other dust shield is on the sprocket out here. You also need to replace the bearing on the sprocket at the same time. For the dust shield, just seat it in there, take the washer again, and just work your way around. You're going to want to add some grease. Goes in fairly smoothly, and you'll know it's totally set once your washer's down in. And just in case you're wondering, this is what happens when a rim comes in contact with a guide rail post.